and you're starting your family, and at the same time you're getting this ping to have a career shift. I feel like this is way more common than I've heard talked about. But when people have kids, it's almost like their whole priorities list is like, whoa, whatever I thought I wanted or was gearing towards before is suddenly, or maybe not so suddenly, very apparently not aligned. It's almost like you deepen your level of authenticity in a way because you see the world through such a different lens after having a kid. Do you feel like that was your
Yeah,
experience?
absolutely. I knew it was time to leave. I had gone on maternity leave and I came back, and the position required a lot of travel. And I just knew I just didn't want to travel anymore. I didn't want to
Mm.
be away from my husband, the baby. I was at the point where I didn't want my boss's job. I know I want to continue on, but what am I climbing for? I didn't enjoy traveling, I have to say, for a while. I love traveling if I'm going on vacation with family or friends, but I really didn't enjoy the travel. So when a baby came to the picture, I knew that if I stayed in that job, wouldn't have enough time to do self-care, to have time for myself, to allow my husband to have time for himself. It just didn't work anymore. I think after I had the baby, I figured out really quickly what my priorities were. I also thought a lot about what my story would be. So when kids get older, they're kind of asking questions about, you. And I always thought about my story. And if my son asked me, "Oh, so you must have loved your job. You were there for so long." How would I say, "No, I didn't, but I just stayed." So I kind of thought about that. I'm like, no, I'm not really being true to myself. And I really want him to be true to himself. So it kind of pushed me in a way.
I love that reframe too of, okay, it's easy to settle when it's just you, but then thinking about, well, what is the example I'm setting by playing small here? What is the example I'm setting by not following my dreams or pursuing what actually lights me up? What is the implicit message underlying there? That's such a interesting thing to think about with kids or just even, with your partner or what message that sends to your loved ones around you. And not that you should be living for them, but as added encouragement of keeping you in line with your integrity.
Exactly. If I was going to be away pursuing my passion and that was just going to give me so much energy that when I got back home, I was just beaming with energy, that's different.
Okay, now backtracking a little bit, how did you know that your husband was your person? And what was the process like in having your first kid?
So everything with my husband was pretty easy. It just felt so comfortable, but in an exciting way. We just had a lot in common. I mean, there was a lot of kismet things. Well, he has the same name as me, so his name is Stefano, and I'm Stephanie. So that was a little like the universe was like, don't miss this. But like our dogs had the same name. Just like there was just like some moments I was like, oh, this is interesting. I just knew that we could grow together. I think that was the biggest thing. We didn't have it all figured out. We could grow together. We had these conversations together about future, but then also had fun. It just seemed very, very natural. And our relationship happened really quickly. So we met when I was 37 and he was 36. So we met and dated for 6 months and then ended up moving in together. A few months after that, we decided, I think we're each other's person. So we talked about trying for a baby because at that point I was 37. Yeah, we just decided that we were going to try for a baby. So it's funny, when we first started dating, I had probably hid how spiritual I was from other relationships. People would probably be accepting of it. I just didn't feel comfortable sharing all the time. So I told him that I was like, we need to like sage the house and just almost kind of like consciously call in our baby. So I made him do all weird things like that. And we got pregnant right away. So it was beautiful. It was almost like he was like waiting for us to get together. So my husband's not
Mm.
from England either. It's just funny that we both kind of ended up here and then found each other.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And then how has life transformed? We want to share a lot more for the parents in our
Hmm.
community, how to expand them doing this work while being a parent. what was that process like for you from doing the TBM work before having a kid to being pregnant, then having the kid? How did that shift your spiritual practice, your TBM practice, your self care? How did you fit it in?
Yeah.
And how did you see the inner child work with a child?
Yeah, so you definitely have a lot less free time. So I have to say, self-care is not a super big priority right now, but I fit it in. Having your partner on board and being supportive and knowing that you need to do your self-care and spiritual practices is so important. So, my husband knows that I'm just a better person if I'm meditating, if I'm doing TBM workshops, if I'm journaling. I'm just a better person. I'm just happier. So I just show up happier in the relationship with him. And then as a mom, I don't look at routines anymore as a daily routine. It's almost like a weekly routine. So I just get in my time of 3 times, 4 times a week, again, just like with his support. And I know that if I have free time, those are the things, there's certain things that I'm going to go to. So if I have an hour, I know, okay, how am I feeling today? Do I need to meditate? Do I need to do a TBM workshop? Do I need to work out? What are those things? I just run through the 5 or 6 things like I like to rotate throughout the week.
I love that too because it keeps a sense of novelty. If you have that time opening, you have a list you can go to, so you're not sitting there like, well, what should I do? The options are endless. Oh my gosh, blah blah blah. And then, people end up scrolling their phones or watching TV and they're like, this isn't what I even wanted to do. But having that list of like, okay, these are the things I can go to when I have that time just for me. And also being flexible about what they are. The days that you're like, this is actually going to feel so nourishing, let me go in and do it on them. I think that's such a cool way to see your schedule and fit it in.
Yeah, it's energizing because I can get what I need in that day also.
So many points during this conversation too. I'm like, she really knows her energy. She knows where things are going to fill up her cup and she knows what's going to light her up and then she knows what's going to drain it. Like it's just so clear how you talk about it. And I think that's such a rare thing. A lot of people don't know where they're draining their energy and where they're not filling up their own cup. Do you think it was from that experimentation phase where you were trying things out on your own? How did you get so clear of like, this is on the yes side, this is on the no side?
Yeah, I think it was experimentation for sure. And then maybe a few times a year, I'll actually journal about just a random day and I'll talk about my energy, in the journal. So I'll write
Mm.
about how much energy I had in the day based on what I was doing. I'm still not good with it. I still drink alcohol, so that sucks the life out of me, but sometimes I just want a glass of wine. So it's not perfect, but I think the activities I definitely have done.
I love that you say that too, because a lot of people ask, can you be spiritual and drink alcohol? And there's a whole no alcohol movement going on right now. And I think definitely everyone has to do what's best for them. But I do think there is something to allowing yourself to not be so rigid with things. If you authentically are enjoying, dinner with friends and you love the taste of a nice chilled natural red wine, have a glass, Is that going to create a detriment to your spiritual practice? Probably not. And in fact, you stifling yourself or feeling like, oh God, I really wanted it, but I was strict and I didn't do it might actually have a more adverse effect. You kind of have to really sink into your energy. But then if you're drinking wine and the next morning you're feeling horrible, let's say you had 3 glasses of wine and you're like, oh my God, and it screwed over your whole next day, well, then maybe reconsider how you're utilizing that. How do you see alcohol with spirituality?
Yeah, I agree. I think it depends on how it affects your body. I don't think I probably
Mm-hmm.
process it great, but it's how it affects your body. But I feel like I used to force labels upon myself. So, because I would go through phases of how I was feeling. I'm a pescatarian, I'm a vegetarian, I'm a vegan, I'm this. And now I just eat what I want to eat in the moment. So whatever
Mm-hmm.
fuels my body, or if I just want something sweet, so I just feel like, yeah, I just think people should do what's best for them.
I think that's going to be even more true over the next few years. They talk about like the new paradigm and all of that sort of stuff. And I think it's going to help us on the journey of getting really clear on what is for us uniquely and not subscribing to all the outside messaging and all of that. And understanding, like, okay, when someone's talking about like their sober, curious journey, are you taking away from that, oh, damn, okay, I have to do that. Otherwise, I'm not a good spiritual
Hmm.
person? Or are you taking away from that, wow, that feels really nice and expansive. I think I want to try it. How does it land in your body when you're hearing about it? Are you using an idea or a concept someone has done that worked for them as punishment against yourself, or are you using that to enhance yourself too?
Absolutely. Even exercise. So I used to be so jealous of people that ran. I hate running. People get into the
Hmm.
zone and it's so meditative almost and relaxing to them and challenging. I hate running. I don't want to run. I think just knowing yourself and also differentiating between something that may be hard and challenging versus you
Mm.
actually genuinely don't enjoy it.
How do you define that difference for yourself?
Yeah, I think sometimes if I'm not sure, I try it a couple times
Hmm?
just to know. If you're trying, especially exercise, if you're trying it over and over and you probably should be getting a little better at it or, conditioned to how to do it. And I feel like after you try it a few times, if you're not getting that benefit, then kind of move on.
I think that's great advice. Exercise is an interesting one where I almost never want to do it, but I almost always am so glad that I did do it. Maybe sometimes. There are a few times when I'm like, ooh, I can't wait to work out. But most of the time, I'm like, ugh, I have to go do this physical feat. I don't want to do it. But I think don't so much pay attention to that. Pay more attention to how did you feel doing it and then after you were done doing it. Do you feel good? Do you feel rejuvenated? Did it give you energy? Even if it was hard, do you feel accomplished? What are those check marks after doing the hard thing? And that can apply for like any hard thing you're going after in life, right? You're not always going to be lit up to. I was talking to a friend the other day who's an interior designer, and she's like, I know I need to post more on social. That's how I'm going to expand my clientele. I just feel that's intuitively like what I need to do. And I was like, okay, so do it. And she was like, but I don't want to post on social. Maybe I'm not supposed to do that. And I'm like, no, you just have to get over the hump of actually doing the thing. And then you're going to feel so proud on the other side for moving through that hard thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And then sometimes it's just you have to get better at something. So she could take classes on social media or, and then it might feel a little bit more natural. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I would do like Tracy Anderson or Melissa Wood workouts, and those are challenging. And I would be out of
Yeah.
breath and sore the next day, but I would want to do it again. So that was kind of, I
Mm-hmm.
think, like my benchmark. There's been things I've done that I want to do again that are hard, and things that are hard that I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
do again.